Texas 2036's virtual series, Straight Talk Texas, where you have a front row seat to conversations on topics important to our future. My name is Anisha Shropshire, Director of Board and External Affairs here at Texas 2036. Joining us today is the Chairman of the Dallas region for JPMorgan Chase, Elaine Agather. Elaine also serves as South and Midwest Region Head and Managing Director of the Private Bank at JPMorgan. She and Texas 2036 founder and chairman Tom Luce will discuss how JPMorgan Chase is responding to the pandemic and how she sees economic recovery in Texas. Elaine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Elaine, it hardly feels adequate to say welcome to you. You and I have known each other, shall we say, for a good while. Let's just leave it at that. A long, long time. And you've been such a powerful force in our state for good. And I just want to start off by saying thanks for all you've done and your leadership in our state for a long time. So thank you for that. And we'd all be remiss if we didn't say our state and our country faces even more challenges than the pandemic today, given what has happened with the murder of Mr. Floyd. And I know that's a subject you've been involved in for a long time in terms of diversity of our state. So just wonder how you and your colleagues at the bank are dealing with all that.
You know, Tom, it just, it breaks my heart. I'm from Texas. I'm from Sherman, Texas. It's not a new conversation. And I sometimes, I do feel like a failure that have we not improved it and changed it, and how are we having the same conversation? And then I get hopeful and I look around and I have several strong Black leaders in my region that are as talented and hiring other Blacks. And I think it starts, in the workforce where we treat each other equally and fairly. And having said that, I think the conversation at our bank is very strong and at all levels. And it's been really deep, a deep conversation that perhaps we should have had, 5 years ago when Ferguson happened. But it's something that's important to me. And what's important is that we don't just have this be part of the pandemic and forget it. We need to continue these conversations. We need to understand what our colleagues are feeling. And we need to change things, and we need to use this time to change things. So I'm very proud of the bank and how we've been addressing it, and the time spent on it has been enormous, and it's well worth it.
Well, all of that is just so well said. And, as you and I have discussed, I mean, we both lived with this a long time, and it does feel like a failure for our generation, and hopefully we can be part of the solution. And my concern is, and I totally am supportive of the listening, the talking, the deep conversations, but dadgummit, this time we have to move to what are we going to do about it? And, but I know, I know you and I share that deep commitment. So, but and all this is coming in the midst of this pandemic and economic fallout from that. And I know the bank has been such a major participant in how we recover from this. I mean, starting with the gigantic efforts on the PPP loans and all that. Share with us kind of what, where you think we've come over the last 30 days, and what is this going to look like for the rest of the year?
Well, so I've been at the bank 40 years. And when this hit
she started when she was 6. Let me say that. She started when she was 6.
It's almost hilarious to say that. But when the pandemic hit us, we're all like, oh, well, and we need to work at home, but there's no way. And in 5 days, we had 80% of our workforce working from home. So number one, we realized technology can do a lot more than we thought it could. And there are things that we have learned, and the ability to be more nimble, self-sufficient, all of that will be a silver lining out of this. I also think that the ability to take care of our clients, I mean, you're right, we have done everything from loan assistance, deferring mortgages, helping the small businesses, all that you would expect a bank to be doing today. The good news is, and when I've been through many crises, this one's different. Everybody has said that a million times, but the banks are healthy and strong. And I think that for me has been a real comforting thing, is that we can help people. And I have, all of us have not, we all hear this, we've worked harder than we ever have, because there is so much need out there right now.
Mhm.
And on the PPP loan, I was looking at this, we funded more small businesses than any other bank. So we really focused on that. And our average loan size was about 120,000. Because it was there's a lot of small businesses. Number one, they don't know how to get the money. I mean, you've got to help people know how to help themselves. Like, it's complicated, and there's a lot of forms and all that. So our bankers have spent hours and hours trying to really help people access the money that is there and is there. And so I think that's been for us gratifying and has kept us very busy. Then for the employees, there were a lot of employees that needed to come in. Our tellers. We gave all our tellers extra bonuses. We gave all our employees, 250,000 employees, 5 days extra. And the joke is, where are we going to go? Where are we going to take that? But anyway, someday we have 5 days extra.
Yeah, thanks a lot. They can go to Sherman, can't they, Elaine?
Yeah, we can all go get in a car and drive up to Sherman. But I do think that when you look, it's money doesn't fix all of this, but it's important. Money and jobs are important. And I've always said a job is everything. So we put last year, and just in Dallas, we gave up to almost $10 million just in commit and jobs programs, and really trying to put our money which helps our employees and helps the workforce. Talent is critical, and we have to train talent for our state. And so if you look back at our bank, 10, 15 years ago, it was very dispersed how we gave our money, an event here, an event there, an event here. And we've really tried to focus it in on specific areas that can truly help something that is important to all of us, and that's our talent and low income.
And I think that's even going to be more important. I mean, it's clear we're going to have, and I don't want to use some fancy sounding word, but we're going to have a lot of economic dislocation, and we're going to have to reskill and upskill and change jobs. There's going to be a lot of fallout from this. And, we all believe that our system of the way the market works, it'll work out in the long term, but that's a difficult issue to navigate. And that means making sure that people can be trained and kept in your workforce, even though their nature of their job is changing. And that's going to require a real adjustment of our, quote, education system. I mean, it takes 2036, we're really focused on how do we get more coherence between employer needs and educational understanding of what is needed for a living wage job, and so that people don't lose jobs, and not because you've spent a lot of time and money teaching people culture and training. You don't want to lose the people.
No. And I have to say, along with that money that we are focused on giving to the community, it's also financial education. That is a critical need. And our bank spent so much time. T. Duckett is our leader in the retail world, and she is actually a homegrown girl. She's from Arlington, Texas, and she is in New York, and one of the rising Black leaders, I think, in the country. I mean, I don't know, maybe we can run her for president at some point, but she's awesome. And she has been so focused on financial education, because there are so many people in our country that have not saved $100. And we have to teach people, and young people from the start, how to handle their money. It becomes a mystery to so many people. So there's that. And then in Texas, and Tom, you know this, but we built, we haven't built a location in a while, but we built a beautiful location in Plano, right off the JCPenney area up there. And we're very proud of it. And it's going to have 11,000 people. And so now we have to figure out, well, they were all sitting really, really close. So now we have to space people out. I think there will be a lot of, to your point, how you redeploy and re-educate people, even in our own bank, things that people were doing before the pandemic, we become more self-sufficient with it or more efficient. And so we have to keep making sure we are training our own people. It kind of starts at home and redeploying them within our bank.
Well, and it's a big job. It's a big job for employers right now. And, you know, it's interesting with all the, you know, publicity about, quote, reopening the economy. So many employers are still thinking through how to safely and adequately do that. And that's a perfect example of that. And I think large institutions like your banks can also help small business who don't have the resources you've had in plugging into experts and how to reconfigure your offices. That can also be great in-kind help to our small businesses, which are the essential part of our economy, as you well know.
It's critical to our economy, small businesses.
Well, and you've always had a second home in my mind, which is Fort Worth. And I see that you've taken on a new role in Fort Worth, you and John Goff. Tell me about what you all are doing in that arena in your second hometown. You really have three. You have Sherman, Dallas, and
That's
Fort
right.
Worth. So,
I call them all home.
right.
You know, Sherman Bearcat cheerleader. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. But I have always been so focused on the bank. I love to give back. But when I got a call from Mayor Price in Fort Worth, I thought, now's the time. We all need to kind of figure out where we have skills and where we can give back. And I think this is really a example of cities across Texas, but to focus on how we attract new employers to our state. There will be the move and there will be the need. What is attractive about our state? How do we be proactive about it and not just reactive, not just, oh, look, Tesla's moving, you know, call us if you have time. We need to be proactive because that is also how we're going to help our economy in repurposing some of the jobs that are lost. And we have a very attractive, you and I know, we could be cheerleaders together on our state, but everything from the workforce, the density that we have, the ability to be less dense, and the business environment. I could go on and on. So that's part of Fort Worth now. And there's two phases. That's really a phase. And this is going to be handed on to the Fort Worth Chamber. It's just a ability for a year to sort of jumpstart and help the chamber. And the first phase of this is really critical, and I mentioned it before, but there is a lot of money out there right now that needs to be put in the right hands, small businesses. But to my point, a lot of people need to know how to do it, where it is, how to access it, what are the needs. And I haven't called anybody that's not willing to help, but you got to call.
Yeah, you got to ask. You got to ask. And let me say, and as we kind of think about the rest of the year, how do you see? And you know, I mean, nobody knows. We live in uncertain times. If you are listening to this and you're thinking about how do I think about the rest of the year economic, what's the bank's view of, you know, like you hear L shape, V shape, U shape, W shape, backward check mark. I've heard them all, but I mean, how do we think about these uncertain times economically?
Obviously, the stock market, there's been a real disconnect, but we all know that stock market is just made up of different stocks, and huge piece of our stock market are the tech stocks that have been driving that. We can't go without mentioning oil and gas in our
Yeah.
market.
Double whammy in our state.
Yeah, and so we do think there's a lot of bright spots. We are bullish. In fact, we're bullish on oil next year. We think there'll be clearly some destruction, but it's not going away. And
No.
so there is, I would say, a big fat U. You know, we're just going to have a period here during the rest of 20 and 21 where we have a lot of ups and downs. But the basic, economy and some of the opportunities, once we continue to get this economy restarted, we think some will bounce back faster than others. And I think we'll look back and think, just like our own bank is thinking about reopening, the very dense areas like New York, Chicago might be a little slower, but in the middle of the country, we might reopen faster, just like we've seen. So that's going to spur, I think, the activity.
Yeah, and the way I phrase it to myself is that, as we look at a worldwide pandemic, you'd rather face it in Texas and in the United States than any other place in the world. I mean, that's the bottom line. Nobody wants to face the pandemic.
Amen to that.
But if you have to face it, you'd rather face it in Texas and in the United States than any other place in the world. So that's the bright spot we have to keep telling ourselves. And I really want to thank you for your ongoing leadership in our state and the bank in the country. I mean, you all have done a lot. And again, I think it's so important. I mean, we all lived through the 2007, 2008. We lived prior to that, to the 80s financial, and this is a different ballgame now. It's impacting so many people. The number that I just keep right in front of my face is, we had more people file in 3 weeks unemployment claims in Texas in March than we did all of last year,
right.
All of 2019.
Right.
And that's just staggering.
It is.
And and we have an awful lot of, the other thing is we've had an awful lot of people lose jobs that have never been unemployed, never faced the situation. I mean, we live in really dramatic times, but I think we'll get through this with the help of institutions like yours. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And leaders like you that are still at it and still trying to help. So thank you, because it is.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching Straight Talk Texas. If you have questions and feedback, we want to hear from you. Email us at straighttalk@texas2036.org and follow us on social media and sign up to receive our emails. Visit texas2036.org for more information. Until next time, wishing you and your family well.